G'day and welcome to the weekly VEMA Trader Market Scan. My name is Rhys and today I'll be running you through my thoughts on Bitcoin. So first things first, we'll go and take a look at the trades that we set up last week and we'll see how those played out. Then we'll take a look at the Bitcoin chart as it stands today. We'll do our analysis on that chart and if there's any trades we like the look of, we'll set those trades up. So what we'll do is we'll head to VEMA Trader and we'll get started. Righto, so I thought we'd start with those three shorts, the Alpha, Bravo and Charlie shorts I've been talking about for a couple of weeks. I'm going to cancel these. I still really like those levels. I'm quite happy with the supply levels, the fibs, everything really lines up well. Still think if we head up there, there's a good chance we reject from one of them. But it's getting to the point where I've had them on for weeks and we haven't got there, and it all starts to just sort of clog my head a little bit, where I'm just like, oh, I've got all these positions that I've got sitting and waiting, but I've lost track of them. Even though it's only three, it sort of starts to weigh on me eventually, and I go, right, delete them all, start from scratch. So that's what I'm going to do today. These are all going. I may set them up again, especially if we do start to head up. But for now, these are gone. Righto, next up we have the short from Delta, the cross candle close. Essentially, we're looking for the break of this EQ level. I still quite like that level. Been looking for it for 2 weeks, maybe 3 now. I really don't see any reason to remove this trade, and it's not clogging my head like those other ones were. So I'm going to leave this one on. I still think if we do break that level and close below, we're potentially going to get that short. Righto, so the last trade to look at is the loss that we took on Tuesday. So Monday I spoke about how I think we're about here, and I was saying if we broke these levels, this came as resistance. I was expecting to see a retest and then we would launch, and how I was looking at catching that long if we did get the things I wanted to see. Tuesday, we were playing out really, really nicely in terms of what I had wanted to see. We had a big volume spike here. There was a few things going on. So I was quite happy to set up this long. We had that pause zone, we had an EQ, we had the 38 fib. The only thing was on Monday, I said I was going to wait for confirmation. And on Tuesday, I liked what I'd seen so much that I decided not to wait for confirmation. I don't regret that. I really did like what I was seeing. So I'm not really beating myself up. I didn't break my trade plan there, so that's fine by me. But the only tag that I have added here is confirmation could have saved a loss, because it could have. So that is always worth tagging, because if I repeatedly see that, then maybe it's worth me starting to use confirmation more. Apart from that, pretty happy with the way this trade played out. Obviously, would have been happier if it was a win. I think I just deleted that tag. I did. Confirmation could have saved a loss. Obviously would have been happier with a win, but we dropped our risk because it was against the high time frame bias, so we didn't take that big of a loss. And, you have to take risks to profit in these markets. So that's always part of the game. Losing is one of the parts of the game. And, this week we took a loss. So what we'll do, we'll go and take a look at Bitcoin as it stands today and see if we can get some wins on the board for the week ahead. Righto, so last week I spoke about looking at the monthly chart because we were 24 hours from the monthly close. Now, I was wrong. I was thinking May had 30 days. It actually has 31. So we were 36 or 48 hours. But we got the monthly close. We did get the monthly close, and it did close lower than the previous month. So, not the previous month, sorry, the previous market structure. It closed lower than this low here. So, like I said last week, that's potentially the first ever lower low on the monthly charts for Bitcoin. Now, it depends how you view market structure. Some people use wicks, some people use closes. I prefer closes. And then, depending on how you draw it as well, that may not have been a lower low to you. But for me, in the way I view market structure, that is the first ever confirmed lower low on the monthlies for Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean? Who knows, right? When something happens for the first time, you've got no data to go off and use to make projections. But in my opinion, it's not a great sign. A lower low on the monthlies, not a good sign for Bitcoin over the coming year. We're talking monthly candles, so we're talking for a long period of time. But not a great sign in my opinion on the monthlies. On the weekly, these are the levels that I'm looking at. We have the demand zones down around the $20,000 region, and we have the supply zone that formed, the origin of this move at about the $48,000 to $46,000 region, and then fibs. That's pretty much all I'm really seeing. The last candle was a pretty bad bear hammer, so we've pushed up really nicely today in the 4 hours since the weekly open. So that's kind of a good sign, right? We've seen some buying step in this week, but we saw buying come in last week and then get smashed back down. So on the weeklies, still not seeing anything that is making me super bullish on Bitcoin. If we get a really nice close this week, things might change. But for now, my bias is still to the downside on the weekly charts. On the dailies, I am starting on the line chart because I've gone and looked left to try and find some significant levels, that price might respect when we do get back up to them, or if we do get back up to them. And you can see I've gone to the line chart because it makes it a hell of a lot easier to see. If I look at that now, you can still sort of identify them. It's not impossible, but on the line chart, things just get really clean and it stands out a lot more. You can see those pivots. There's less noise, essentially. So that's what I'm seeing on the daily. That sounds a bit New Zealand, a bit. But when we come in and just look at the really close price action, we did have an evening star quite recently. So we punched out of that consolidation zone just very slightly and got the evening star and rejected heavily back into it. So that's interesting to note. We're now retesting one of those EQ levels that I have just marked off. And to the downside, you could put a daily support there. I wouldn't. To me, I feel like it's like a 4-hour support. But yeah, that's really what I'm seeing on the daily. If we do break through this zone, then there's not much to hold us until we get up to sort of 37,000 on the daily. There's actually, yeah, that's right. There's that EQ, which is 36,800, so still about 37,000. So potentially, if we do punch through that zone, we could see a swift move up because there's not a whole lot of structure in there to hold us up necessarily, although there has been quite a bit back over there. So on the 4 hour, there's probably some levels through there. But yeah, that's really what I'm seeing on the daily. Again, daily bias still bearish until I really see some bullish market structure start to form. And yeah, those are the levels I'm paying attention to. On the 4 hour, the level that I am most interested in is this supply zone here. And the reason is that my daily bias is bearish, so I'm more interested in shorts than I'm in longs. And that led to a really harsh sell-off, right? That was what pushed us back into the range that we've been in for the last couple of weeks. When we came up and out, tested the previous resistance level that we had marked on our charts, and then we got slammed back in. This was where that slam really originated, right? That's where that sell-off really started to gain momentum. And so that's a supply zone that I'm really interested in. What also I really like about that zone, sorry, that drawing tool has got me again. I think it's every week it gets me. What I also really like about that area is we have a daily EQ and we have a daily supply. So that daily supply is going to be protecting my stop loss because it'll be halfway through, so my stop loss will be on the other side of it. And that daily EQ is just one more reason that there might be sellers stepping in there. In terms of to the downside, there is a demand zone we created just recently, right? We had a really big buy up this morning, and so there's a demand zone created through there. I'm not targeting that zone, but I'm going to just keep an eye on it, right? When price gets down there, I want to see what's happening because if it's being really well respected and I don't think it's going to break, then it might be a good chance for me to move my stop loss down and really manage that position closely if I do get into a short that is playing out nicely. Where I'm really targeting with this short is this bottom, essentially the bottom of the range, right? The supply, the demand zone that led to the break of the range. So we may not get down that far, but that's what I'm going to target, and then I will just manage my stop loss if we do get the entry and come down there. In terms of risk management, so I'm going for the full 1% because it agrees with my high time frame bias. I just have a fixed stop loss, so I've actually gone a little bit wide of the zone because I want to avoid that wick too. Even though my zone stops here, I don't want price to come up, within that range and get me. So I've widened my stop loss just a little bit, and like I said, I'm targeting down here on this demand zone. In terms of the journal, the tags that I have used are the 4 hour supply zone, my bearish daily bias, daily supply zone, daily EQ, and it's with my high time frame bias. I've given it a 6 confidence and I am very happy. So that's really the only trade that I am interested in for this week. Some people might be looking for longs off that demand zone. I'm sure all sorts of people will be looking for all sorts of different things. In terms of the way I trade, we've already got a short set up down here if we do break this level. And I'm not really interested in a long if we break above there. I might reassess if we do break above there and have a think about things. But for now, the only trade that I'm really seeing is this short from Alpha. And so that's the only trade I'm setting up for this week. So I'm going to save that one. And that's it from me, guys. So hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully your trading is going really, really well. If not, as always, feel free to drop things in the comments. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, always happy to hear them. So have a great day, happy trading, and I'll talk to you guys very soon.